The international break is here, and after beating Chelsea 1-0, Mikel Arteta has revealed some positive news. So today we'll get the latest on the return of Bukayo Saka. We'll also find out what's happening with the Arsenal midfield, discussing Arsenal players shining on loan, as well as getting a Fabrizio Romano update on Alexander Isak. Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Fabrizio, welcome back to your boys channel and to the first video in the Team 14 HQ. There will still be videos in the old HQ, but we've also not gone office, so we are leveling up all thanks to you guys. So as per, smash a like on this video if you enjoy and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Help your boy on the road to 300,000 subscribers. We're starting off with Arsenal's London domination. In a fixture that Arsenal have certainly dominated, the pride of London being such obedient dogs. Arsenal are now unbeaten in their last 7 Premier League games against Chelsea, their longest run without a league defeat against them since a run of 19 between 1995 and 2005. We have also now won 3 consecutive Premier League home games against them for the first time since 2003. In fact, in terms of Mikel Arteta's arriving at Arsenal, he has only lost once to Chelsea, in a game that Arsenal had Pablo Mari at the back, Rob Holding next to him. In this game, Arsenal weren't anything special, as the XG shows 0.89 to Chelsea's 0.36. That's why we're thankful that set piece of C was back in full effect, as Mikel Arteta's emergency number 9 stepped up once again. 1 goal scored, 2 shots on target, as well as 91% of passes completed, 6 goals for the season, 5 in the Premier League. And since turning into a number 9, he is only behind Mo Salah and Omar Mamouche for total goals scored. Not only was it a fantastic set piece, the first that Arsenal scored in a while, having gone 12 games and 94 corners without a set piece goal, this was quite a header from Mikel Merino, arriving at that near post with a fantastic flick on. For as poor as Robert Sanchez is, this was all the quality of Mikel Merino. And I have to say, this guy does deserve credit. We know he's not a number 9, he's never played there his entire career. But with winners against Leicester and now Chelsea, profile-wise, Mikel Arteta has worked a little bit of magic. And here's where things start to get interesting, as also scored another set piece. To not only retain confidence, it's an area where our Champions League opponents in Real Madrid really struggle, as shown perfectly in the game on the weekend, a 2-1 win against Villarreal, but where they were 1-0 down for a 1-4 corner. In a game that will be all about the fine margins, Real Madrid definitely have the quality, but as we've seen in the Champions League in the past, it's all about providing a moment. While I don't see it coming from open play, could this be another moment for Nicolas Jova and Gabriel Magalhaes to thrive? In a game that you also saw the return of Gabriel Martinelli, who dropped a 7.3 rating in 79 minutes with 3 shots on total, 2 successful dribbles and 2 key passes. His first start in over a month. Playing on the right hand side over Ethan Nwaneri, whether he was resting him or not, Martinelli had a very intriguing game. The threat definitely there in terms of attacking on the right hand side, directed his play trying to take his man on. The same reoccurring issue that we saw pre his injury. Can Martinelli get into dangerous areas? Of course he can. When it comes to the final action, we still need to see more. With a wasteful shot on the first half, but with some decent crosses as well, it poses to me a bigger question. Now that Martinelli is back going into our next few games, as well as Mikel Merino has done as a striker, could we see Leandro Trossard play as a false 9, with Martinelli on the left hand side and Ethan Nwaneri on the right? But in terms of this game's stand-up performer, I have to go to one man and one man only, our Dutch excellence in Jurrien Timber, with not only a stand-up performance, but also the funniest moment in the game. With Arsenal getting themselves over the line, Timber was seen in the 92nd minute talking to Enzo Maresca, saying try harder, as well as a congratulations followed by shaking his hand. Essentially Timber saying that Chelsea just weren't good enough, as he dropped a 7.4 rating, with 3 clearances, 2 interceptions and 1 tackle, 5 ground duels won, 4 aerial duels won, 88% of passes completed. Ask yourself the question, has there been a single winger that has beaten Jurrien Timber this season? By far our most underrated player, turning up week in week out after an ACL injury, dropping 8 out of 10 performances consistently, locking up any winger that comes up 1v1. When you think about the fact that he cost Arsenal £35 million, and the fact that he's still 23 years of age, I want to ask yourselves the question, when it comes to consistency and turning up every single week, do you think that Jurrien Timber has been our player of the season? But in this game, the player of the match was given to William Saliba, his 2nd consecutive man of the match performance against Chelsea, in a game that he dropped a 7.1 rating with 4 clearances, 2 block shots and 2 tackles, alongside winning every single aerial duel. Saliba has now won 100% of his aerial duel in all 3 of his last Premier League appearances. 6 of 6 versus Forest, 5 of 5 versus Man United, now 3 of 3 versus Chelsea. For a player that they were questioning aerially, the Mbappe of centre-backs once again turns up, as Arsenal put in yet another outstanding defensive performance. For as much as I think Gabriel Magalhaes has been more consistent this season, with Saliba wanted by the likes of Real Madrid, according to Fabrizio Romano, I don't expect any big movements for William Saliba this summer. Internally at Real Madrid, they are monitoring the player, as he is considered the Bellingham of defenders, but that's normal, appreciating a player like Saliba. At the same time, there is Arsenal. He still has 2.5 years left on his contract. There is no urgency. This is not a dangerous situation for Arsenal. Andrea Berta will now work on Saliba's new contract. project, to explain the project, the long-term view, the ambition, and discuss the numbers of the terms with the new player. They want him to be a crucial part of the project. Alongside the quotes of William Saliba saying that he's happy at Arsenal. Not to mention that of course he was a boyhood Arsenal fan. For me, it's a matter of two factors. Offer him the right amount of money, but also show the right amount of ambition, as Arsenal put up yet another defensive masterclass, holding Chelsea to just 8 shots on total, their fewest XG in 0.35, and fewest touches in the opposition box with 8, of any game this season, with Chelsea making more fouls than 13 than getting inside the Arsenal box. As Mikel Arteta said after the game in terms of defending, we are one of the best teams in the world today. We were unbelievable. We concede almost nothing apart from a strange trade from David Raya. Big credit because in my opinion, Chelsea are the best attacking team in the league. I'm not quite so sure about that, Mikel. I don't think I've seen a single team come to the Emirates this season and be as least threatening as this Chelsea side. But in terms of the Arsenal manager after the game, seen running in and out of his interview, as a joke reference to his interview last week, this game was not hard quality, but Arsenal got the job done, rising now to 58 points after 29 games, which is 8 points worse from last season. Still a massive 12 points behind first place Liverpool, but 4 points clear of Forest in third, 9 clear of Chelsea, and 10 of City. While this year has not been a ceiling raiser, the floor has definitely been raised. So we're still comfortably securing a Champions League place. Our Big Six record continues to be fantastic. Now 19 games unbeaten against the Big Six. 11 wins, 8 draws and 0 defeats. If able to avoid a defeat at Anfield, that will be 2 consecutive years that Arsenal have not lost a single game when up against the Big Six. That just shows to me where Arsenal need to improve, and it is those little games. Against teams that play the low blocks, if able to sign the right players this summer, those 10 draws that we've seen this season, turn 6 of those into wins, and Arsenal would be level on points with Liverpool. So moving on to the latest Arsenal news. With the international break here once again for the first time in a while, as Arsenal star boy Miles Lewis Skelly linked up with New England manager Thomas Tuchel. You've also got the Spaniards and David Raya and Mikel Merino linking up with the Spanish national team, Martinelli and Magalhaes for Brazil. But in terms of 2 players that aren't going, here was Kai Havertz and Bukayo Saka as Arsenal played Chelsea, with Havertz still out for the season. In terms of Bukayo Saka, we might have some very positive news. As Mikel Arteta confirmed after the game, he's got a very good chance of returning after the international break. As Mikel says, he is going to be here next week, hopefully with the ball with his feet. That will mean he's shooting and running. He's done quite a lot already on the pitch. The next stage is to integrate him into more competitive training and see how he copes. With even John Cross confirming, Bukayo Saka has been penciled in for return for the Arsenal squad by April the 8th, a day they host Real Madrid in the Champions League, with some reports even claiming that he could be available against Fulham. There are a lot of Arsenal fans getting excited, and rightly so. A player that was tearing up the league before his injury, that according to Nuno Mendes, is the hardest player he's played against this season, saying Bukayo Saka is very, very good. A guy that recently locked up Mo Salah in back-to-back games. But we also have to understand the process of recovery. After tearing his hamstring and a major surgery, one of the main issues after returning from this injury is the high chance of re-injury. Of course, Bukayo wants to play at the Bernabeu in what is Arsenal's final chance of silverware this season, but not to get him re-injured. But at the same time, Mikel Arteta will have to be very careful. Use Bukayo Saka in the correct manner, maybe give him less workload defensively, and potentially he could be a game changer. And as confirmed by Sami Mokbel, Arsenal are set to open formal talks with Bukayo Saka over a new contract, with Gabriel Magalhaes also holding conversations over extension. The Brazil international is believed to have interest from clubs in Saudi Arabia. For Saka, Gabriel and Saliba, it is all very important, tying down your best players to brand new contracts as soon as possible. Because if you don't, just have a look at Liverpool right now. The prospect of winning a title, they're losing Trent Alexander-Arnold, Virgil van Dijk and Mo Salah for the price of nothing. Top players demand top money because they deserve it. In terms of Gabriel Magalhaes, according to Ben Jacobs, I want to say are planning an ambitious summer bid. They've already made an initial approach to the player, with Arsenal likely to even consider offers for under 100 million euros. The club's firm preference is for the player to extend his contract, but with Al Nassr throwing up a crazy bid. According to Jacobs, they've offered the player a salary in the region of 20 million euros, around 3 times his current Arsenal package, and that all being tax-free. This could definitely be a scenario to watch. But in terms of one player that's shining that's not currently at Arsenal, let's talk about the unknown Fabio Vieira, who after scoring once again for Porto in their last game, with a fantastic volley inside the box, Vieira now has 5 goals and assists in his last 5 games for Porto. For a player now 24 years of age, finally catching some form, thankfully staying available and clearly showing his quality, from playing on the right hand side as a winger to playing as a number 10. The fact that Arsenal loaned him out in the first place, with no option or obligation to buy, it does mean that Mikel Arteta could see his future at the Emirates Stadium. A player far more in terms of the final ball than the build-up play, a different profile to Martin Odegaard. The idea of Vieira is exciting, but you also have to weigh up the reality. Can we see him replicate this form, become the player that he was meant to be at the Emirates Stadium? For new sport director Andrea Berta, a lot of stuff is coming up. So as Fabrizio Romano confirms, Andrea Berta will start his new chapter as Arsenal director in the upcoming weeks. The contract has been sealed last week, and the new director has already spoken to Mikel Arteta about future plans. A major dilemma is developing in central midfield, with David Ornstein confirming there's a very good chance that both Jorginho and Thomas Partey could be leaving Arsenal this summer. In the case of Partey, Arsenal have not even opened new negotiation. According to reliable Hand Versio, Mikel Arteta will try very hard until the last moment to convince Jorginho to change his mind and stay at Arsenal. Flamengo are currently pushing half of the Italian, while he's also received offers from UAE, Italy and Japan on far less money than Thomas Partey. For me, both of these players are going to leave. That's where, as David Ornstein confirms, Martin Zubimendi to Arsenal is at a very advanced stage, and the feeling inside the club is the player will join this summer, linking up with Declan Rice as a number 6 or as a number 8. It feels like in recent weeks, Zubimendi's stocks have slightly dropped, whether it was his performance against Manchester United or the idea of Bruno Guimaraes. In terms of the stats radar as shown here, despite known for his passing ability, I associate Zubimendi is far more of a ball-winning midfielder, where Declan Rice is more of a box-to-box. At 25 years of age, entering the peak of his powers, this was the player that Liverpool were desperate after last season. According to Alex Crook, Arsenal have also added Carabao Cup winning Newcastle midfielder Bruno Guimaraes to the list for summer transfer targets, with talks with Zubimendi also at advanced stage. According to a recent Q&A of David Ornstein, he doesn't see Arsenal signing both midfielders. So if it came down to you guys and you had to choose only one, Martin Zubimendi or Bruno Guimaraes, who are you going for? With Bruno recently involved in the Carabao Cup final, as Newcastle smoked Liverpool 2-1, the team that knocked out Arsenal in the semi-finals showed once again the qualities in the big games. Tactically so well-rounded and so powerful. When you look at that Newcastle midfield of Bruno Tonali and Joe Linton, you have to admit that's pretty high quality. But the star of the show was once again Alexandre Isak, scoring the winning goal and seen after the game alongside the Arsenal legend Thierry Henry, telling Henry, as Isak says, I knew my moment would come. Having already won the Copa del Rey for Real Sociedad back in 2021, their first piece of silverware in 34 years, he has now helped Newcastle end their 70-year drought with their first trophy in a lifetime. With Arsenal fans after the game feeling mischievous, thinking about the photos of Isak with the Carabao Cup, to the photos of Declan Rice with the Conference League. All jokes aside, Arsenal do have serious interest, with Fabrizio Romano once again confirming, for Arsenal, Alexandre Isak is the absolute top priority for a player that has now scored 23 goals this season, just 3 being penalties, and a crucial goal in a cup final. Look at the goal he scored and ask yourself a very simple question. Which player in our current squad can do the same? Once again causing Virgil van Dijk so many issues. We saw what he done to William Saliba. As Fabrizio says, big massive proposals will come on the table for Alexandre Isak. Arsenal will be there, but Liverpool as well. For Arsenal, he's the absolute top priority, with Šeško being the other name on the list. For Liverpool, he's one of the names that they are also considering. It seems like a battle is definitely growing, but we have to remember one thing. With Isak winning a trophy at Newcastle with a team that has so much quality, the crucial factor is going to be, can they get Champions League football? As Hand of Ozil provided a gargantuan update, confirming that he is the number 1 target for Arsenal and Arteta, with Arsenal being in constant contact with Isak's camp since early last year. Personal terms are not seen to be an issue for us at all. Arsenal are willing to smash the transfer record if needs be. But here's where things get tricky. If Newcastle qualify for the Champions League, it's going to be a very long day. But if they don't, it could make it very difficult for Newcastle to match the demands of Isak's camp, with Liverpool and Barca also recently getting in touch. It seems like that will be the decisive factor. Can Newcastle get into the Champions League? Because Arsenal certainly will, with Hand of Ozil also confirming Andrea Berta has already presented ideas to make a record transfer viable. This does have a few parallels to a previous transfer scenario. Of course, thinking about Declan Rice, a player that Arsenal had made their firm priority for a long while. All the big reporters reported it. Then a matter of waiting and putting the money on the table. In a summer that we were fighting Man City, while Liverpool definitely have funds available, having seen them in previous transfer sagas, they don't put all the money on the table. They have lost out on so many players. This is where we're looking towards Andrea Berta. Can he get his first big transfer over the line? Because if Newcastle don't get Champions League football, it looks like Isak is going to leave. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Do you trust in Andrea Berta to bring what many see as the Henry Reject, an absolute gunman, to the Emirates Stadium? But that is the video there and there, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you have, don't forget to smash a like and also subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you want to follow your boy on all of his social medias, then links are down below in the description. But that was all of the latest Arsenal news today. Ahead of a brand new international break, a chance to recharge and go again, and with the recent arrival of Andrea Berta, I think things could be starting to happen as well. So as per my friends, stay tuned as always, and I'll see you next time. Take care, in a bit.